The king in the north!
Dracarys.
I will hurt you for this.
I am the sword in the darkness.
Lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of the sheep.
Let me give you some advice, bastard.
Chaos isn't a pit. Chaos is a ladder.
House Durrandon held the Stormlands from their seat at Storm's End, due south of Dragonstone. House Horror of the Iron Islands had also conquered and enslaved the Riverlands and ruled them from Harrenhal, a monstrous castle rising on the shore of the God's Eye. House Stark held the frozen wasteland of the north, the oldest, largest, and emptiest of the kingdoms. House Lannister held the Westerlands, the wealthiest kingdom, thanks to their gold mines. House Gardner held the Reach, the second wealthiest kingdom, thanks to their crops. House Arryn held the Vale, or rather the Vale held them. The mountains were impassable except through the Bloody Gate, which had never been taken. House Martell held the deserts of Dorne, probably because no one else wanted them. Together, the Seven Kingdoms made Westeros, a realm that wasn't yet a realm, ruled by great families who didn't know what greatness was. Aegon would teach them.
What is up, everybody? Jeremy Eisenfire here, and welcome to the channel. And today we just received some breaking news concerning the next potential Game of Thrones spin-off series that could be coming to HBO. And it looks like Aegon's Conquest is back on the table. A little over a year ago, we heard rumblings that HBO was potentially thinking about developing Aegon's Conquest, both starting as a movie, leading into a subsequent series following. And while we never received official word that the series was actively being worked on, many fans were very hopeful that we would one day see Aegon's Conquest on the big screen. And now it's looking that is becoming more and more of a reality. HBO has reportedly stated that they have recently partnered up with Madison Tomlin in efforts to create an Aegon's Conquest script. Madison Tomlin, of course, did some uncredited work on the recent Matt Reeves Batman movie and is slated to be the co-writer for the sequel, Batman Part 2. Tomlin is also credited as the writer for Keanu Reeves' BRZRKR, the action comic adaptation which received massive success when it launched last year. And now it looks like Tomlin is set to dive headfirst into Westeros, adapting one of the most iconic stories in all of A Song of Ice and Fire, Aegon's Conquest. The Conquest will reportedly be a direct prequel to the current House of the Dragon series on HBO, and will tell the story how Aegon the Conqueror forged the Seven Kingdoms into one and created the Iron Throne, thus beginning the dynasty of House Targaryen as the rulers in Westeros. One source went on to describe the project as taking a back-to-basics approach to George R. R. Martin's epic fantasy universe. And while they don't go on to exactly clarify what they mean, I think back to basics could potentially be referring to the straightforward nature of Aegon's Conquest story, compared to the complex story that Game of Thrones developed. The origin of House Targaryen in Westeros and the conquest of the Targaryens has been one of the most popular storylines among fans of A Song of Ice and Fire since it came out. And with the possibility of Aegon's Conquest coming to live action, leaves the potential for so many iconic scenes for us to see on screen for the first time, not the least of which being Balerion the Black Dread, the oldest, biggest, and most ferocious of all of the Targaryen dragons, and mount of Aegon the Conqueror. But Aegon, of course, did not conquer the Seven Kingdoms alone. Along with Aegon and Balerion, he was joined with his sister wives, Visenya and Rhaenys, on top of their dragons, Vhagar and Meraxes. And if Aegon's Conquest does get greenlit, we will see a much younger Vhagar on this show compared to the older Vhagar we see on House of the Dragon. A Vhagar that was very much still in her prime during the Conquest. But I think one of the most interesting parts of Aegon's Conquest coming to live action could potentially be where exactly they start the series off, with one potential option being starting at the very beginning, and showing the Doom of Valyria and the coming of the Targaryens to the island of Dragonstone just years before the Doom. Like Aegon's Conquest, the Doom of Valyria is another heavy fan favorite moment in A Song of Ice and Fire, and one that we still don't know a whole lot about. Other than the fact that House Targaryen narrowly avoided the Doom of Valyria thanks to Daenys the Dreamer, a daughter of House Targaryen at the time who had a prophetic dream of the Doom coming to Valyria, leading the Targaryens to flee just 12 years before the actual Doom fell. And not only would it be incredibly cool to see the Doom of Valyria in live action, but narratively it would be a pretty good place to start Aegon's Conquest, seeing as the Doom of Valyria is pretty much the only reason why the Targaryens became as powerful as they did. Before the Doom went on to fall on Old Valyria, the Targaryens were considered a minor Valyrian house, and nowhere near as powerful as some of the other dragon-riding houses. Yet, thanks to the prophecy of Daenerys the Dreamer and the warning that the Doom was coming, they managed to narrowly escape the fate of their fellow Valyrians, thus freeing them up to become the most powerful house in the known world, as they were the only dragon riders left at the time, making the Doom the perfect place to start Aegon's Conquest, even if it's only in a quick flashback to start the series off. The Conquest itself also has many iconic moments that I'm sure fans would love to see on screen for the first time. Events like the Field of Fire, where Aegon and his sisters unleashed all 3 of their dragons on the combined forces of House Lannister and House Gardner, utterly decimating them. And of course, who could forget the famous burning of Harrenhal, when Aegon and Balerion the Black Dread descended upon the castle in the dead of night, reducing its 5 giant towers into melted rock, killing all inside. So one thing's for sure, action will definitely be in abundance in Aegon's Conquest. The challenge, however, in adapting a story like this is making sure it doesn't look like a one-sided slaughter, and that, I think, is where the Dornish plotline could come into play very nicely. Aegon does go on to conquer most of Westeros with relative ease, until he gets to Dorne. After seeing the tactical mistakes that Aegon's enemies made both at the Field of Fire and at the burning of Harrenhal, Dorne quickly went on to adapt their tactics and found much success in resisting Aegon, handing the Conqueror the only defeat he suffers during the entire conquest. On top of making the conquest not look like a one-sided slaughter the whole time, another complex relationship they could explore is the dynamic between Aegon and both of his sister wives. It is stated in the source material that Aegon married his older sister Visenya out of duty and married his younger sister Rhaenys out of love. And one interesting angle that the show could explore is the inner workings of the relationship between Aegon and his 2 wives. It is said that for every 1 night that Aegon spent with Visenya, he spent 10 nights with Rhaenys, which I imagine could potentially lead to some strain between the relationships of the 2 wives, and potentially even creating a little bit of conflict therein. How exactly did Rhaenys and Visenya get along? Were they the best of friends, or were they rivals competing for Aegon's affection? The inner workings of their relationship could easily be explored to create a more compelling story, adding some much-needed drama to all of the slaughter we are undoubtedly going to see. As exciting as it is going to be seeing Balerion the Black Dread and Aegon decimating all of their opponents, some resistance is definitely needed in a series like this. But either way, I really look forward to seeing how they adapt Aegon's Conquest and who they go on to cast as Aegon, Rhaenys, and Visenya. I myself have gone on records many times stating that I would love to see Alexander Skarsgård play the role of Aegon the Conqueror. I feel like he's got the perfect look, the height, the build, just about everything that is needed to play a character like Aegon. For Visenya, I would love to see Catherine Winnick step into the role. She has been a heavy fan favorite to play Visenya for many years, and for good reason. She was absolutely phenomenal on Vikings, and we know she can definitely handle the action scenes. And for Rhaenys, I think Viva Bianca from Spartacus would be perfect for the role. And definitely let me know down in the comment section, who would you like to see in the roles of Aegon, Rhaenys, and Visenya? Knowing that the series already has a writer attached is really good news, but once we hear that they attach an actual showrunner to the series, then I will get even more excited that this will be a reality. But for now, it is awesome to know that they are getting at least one step closer to potentially adapting Aegon's Conquest in live action, and we will definitely be keeping our ear to the ground for any new information that comes out on the Conquest. But that is going to do it for us today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit a like on your way out, and consider subscribing and hitting that bell for notifications to stay up to date on all of our upcoming content. And as always, I want to give a big thank you to everybody out there for watching, and we will see you on the next one.
The king in the north!
Dracarys.
I will hurt you for this.
I am the sword in the darkness.
Lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of the sheep.
Let me give you some advice, bastard.
Chaos isn't a pit. Chaos is a ladder.